What's brass and sounds just like Tom Jones? Trombones. Duh, that's obvious. Trombones. They sound like Tom Jones. Okay, listen, you need to start laughing at my jokes. That's prerequisite number one. Next, I like to tell you about BOLOs. I don't know why I even mess with you if you're not going to laugh at my jokes, but I like to tell you about BOLOs that most resellers are not looking for. This is a fairly new group as of the time I'm recording this, but I recently did a BOLO Be on the Lookout. I want you to start looking at garage sales, yard sales, thrift stores. The types of things I want you to look for are things that other resellers don't look for, that most thrift stores, hardly any garage sale or yard sale or anything like the estate sale even, hardly any of them know that this stuff is worth anything. That's to our advantage. I want you to, while everyone is worried about the antique clock on the wall worth $900, I want you to be somewhere else picking up all of your valuable possessions. One thing I want you to start looking for in addition to trinket boxes. I told you about trinket boxes in the video recently, and you need to review that because you need to be looking for odd trinket boxes. You'll see them everywhere now that I've told you about them. You'll just be shocked. And they almost always go for $15, $18, and they're almost always nothing. It's like a quarter, $1. I don't even know why you're asking how much that is. Who would want that? You know, that's kind of the attitude that we get whenever we're trying to buy these little tiny, weird little boxes that buyers really are looking for their homes, just little jewelry boxes, little boxes for paper clips in their nice office. I don't know what they use it for, but the trinket boxes are in big demand. Something else in big demand, kind of like those brass Tom Jones that I told you about, will shock you. I'm talking about smaller decorative items, things that no one looks at. I just did a search for brass items on eBay and I want to show it to you. I think you'll really be surprised. Keep in mind, these are just these things that you pass by, like little brass, a wall item from the 1970s that's got a butterfly design and it's made of brass and it's got a hook on the back to hang on the wall. I mean, you see this stuff everywhere. You really do see a lot of brass stuff everywhere. A lot of them are paperweights, things like that. Here's a vintage. Oh, this buyer is just assuming it's vintage. I don't know. I don't know if vintage is the best word to start a listing with, but definitely you'll want vintage in the title somewhere. If it's 20 years or older, 20 years determines whether something can be technically called vintage or not. Don't worry about that. They don't even have to be really vintage. People are always looking for little brass things for their house to hang on the wall, to use as paperweights. I don't know what. But anyway, here we go. All I did was search for brass decor, and I didn't sort them by price or anything, but I did click on these sold items. I'm looking up comps, just on a ended recently comps of brass decor. And let's look at what we find. A brass whale. This thing, I don't know, 3.5 inches long. There's nothing to it. This is going to be at a garage sale on a table full of knickknacks, and they're going to have $1 at the most probably on this. $22 it sells for. Now this seller is offering free shipping. I don't know why they do that. You shouldn't. You should do calculated shipping. But anyway, so even without free shipping, I would instantly charge $19.95 for this, and I'd probably get it. Of course, all my listings and all yours should have make an offer button on always allow offers, and so you might take $17.95. That's okay. It's not fragile. It's easy to wrap. Wrap a thin piece of bubble wrap around it and throw it in a box and tape it up well, and it's done. That's all it is. It's nothing to it, not glass, not anything fragile. And fragility sort of determines whether you want to source something, right? If you have some precious little teacup that's going to bring $22 or let's say $19.95 plus shipping, and you've got to wrap that thing, you've got to double box it possibly, depending on how you wrap fragile items. It still may not get there because it might be smashed. You pay $5 for it and it's going to bring $20, but that's a lot of work for $15 profit before your small eBay selling fees are taken out. This is a much easier thing to wrap. It's a much easier profit for $19.95, and probably at a yard sale or something, they're not going to charge $5 for this. They're going to charge $1 or 2 at the most. I rarely find any little brass item like this for more than $1. A little brass cannon, $15. A brass filigree pot planter, $12.99. You're gonna look at this. You've passed by these types of things before and go, well, that's not even complete. Yeah, it's complete enough to make $13 for this seller who's trying to charge $11.60 shipping for some reason. I don't know why. Anyway, this is not brass, it's copper. These little copper Jello molds, they sell. They're from the 1960s into the 70s, basically the end of mid-century modern. And you'll find these. They always have a little hook like this. I've got 2 or 3 for sale right now. They always have a little hook. Make sure they're in pretty good condition. They're not going to sell for much. They're not going to make you wealthy. You're probably going to have a hard time selling these for $18 to $20, but you can sell them for 14 like this person did, and shipping. They're not fragile, easy to ship, very lightweight. Probably you can ship them in a box for less than £1. But anyway, that's not brass. We're talking about brass. Asian brass round decorative plate, $18. Just boring, right? There's nothing to this. A little tabletop trinket dish. So here we've got the best of both worlds. This seller just isn't asking enough, and the seller's charging too much for shipping, $12.45. But that's okay. Most sellers don't know what they're doing. Don't worry about it. A brass line. This should have sold for a lot more. I would have easily listed this for at least $24.99. But this seller did an auction, and auctions don't make much these days unless it's a very collectible item. As a matter of fact, that's polluting our waters here. I am going to turn off auctions and just show buy it now. So I'm searching for brass decor buy it now items. That's going to get rid of those auctions that really bring down the price for no good reason at all, because all of these types of items you should sell in a buy it now, a fixed price listing. A brass monkey, $21. Mushrooms are real big right now. I don't know why. I have no idea. $35 for a 7-inch gold mushroom deal. Sits on a shelf, I guess. Let's skip that. That's a little fancy. I mean, that's nice, but it's not really in this realm of just brass things that that you have in the past just walked right by. A brass feather fountain pen and a little stand, $19.95. Another little trinket box, brass trinket box, $14, and so on. Let's look at brass candlesticks. Candlesticks are very popular. I don't know why. I mean, it's not like we all live in these, Frankenstein or these Count Dracula castles back in the late 1800 Victorian era, but people still like candlesticks. They still like brass candlesticks. And you'll see. Now, if the candlesticks match, you want a set of 2, if possible. I mean, you're not always going to find 2. But if you find one, look around. You might find a matching pair. You always want to sell in a pair if you can. Here's a pair. Here's a pair. A lot of times they'll just sell individually. Here's a real old brass 9-inch candlestick. I did another search for brass candlesticks, and I haven't checked buy it now only yet. So let me get rid of these auctions. That will get rid of these silly low bid things. Here's a single candlestick. We don't know what it went for, but we know probably it went for over $30. They were asking $38. Here's a little pillar candlestick. A pillar candle is a real thick candle. That's all that means. You should know that term. People are looking for pillar candlestick holders and things. So anytime you have a large candlestick holder, you want to have this word Pillar. I don't know. I assume it's pilar is how it's pronounced, but I don't know. A candlestick holder, brass. 12's pretty low for that, I think. I think that should definitely be $18.95 for sure. Here are a couple of matching $45. Birds are hot. Anything with a bird usually is pretty good. More bird candles. These are identical candles. Must be the same seller. I don't know. Yeah, because the picture's the same. One candlestick holder, $8. MCM, that means mid-century modern. I say it's better if you can make the room to spell out mid-century, even if you can't put the word modern in there, versus MCM. Abbreviations like that are fine for buyers looking for MCM items and that no abbreviations. A lot of buyers don't. A lot of buyers are looking for mid-century candlesticks. So you want to try to spell out mid-century if you can. I would get rid of vintage, and I would get rid of the M, and try to spell mid-century here. A lot of times you'll find, let's see, brass mouse with a book candlestick. The more unique it is, this is a real cute little mouse reading a book, that's going to bring more, that's going to command a premium over just a plain candlesticks like these. Now, I told you that if you can find a pair, it's better than just one. This pair should definitely have been priced at $18.95 at least. If the heavier the item, the better. Also, it is an indication of quality, and so you want to make sure that you emphasize that it's heavier if it is in the listing. But made in India, a lot of these brass items are made in India. So don't let that worry you. Patina, I wouldn't put patina in the title. I may not put India in the title, but definitely I would mention where it was made if it was in India, and I would definitely put patina in the condition. Now, when do you put the word patina? Anytime you see little signs of rust. And patina is the antiquarians, the antique collector's word for rust. But don't say rust. Everyone hates rust. But patina, that adds an aging effect, So always use the word patina. It literally means a metal. Don't use patina for wood or any other item. Don't use patina for paper if you see that it's darkened. That would be called foxing, not patina. Patina should be reserved only for metals such as copper items. So all these copper little candlesticks, here's a pair. We don't know what it went for. It went for an offer, but it probably wasn't a lot lower. It could have been in the 60s even, but it's probably in that range somewhere. Newport, they have a brand. They knew the brand. It's probably listed underneath. Notice how there's one, not even that. No one here does pictures the way they're supposed to. No one. You're just going to shoot to the top of all these search results. White background, I've already told you about that. Your pictures must be square. Hardly any of these pictures are square. A lot of times, a lot of things like this, on a cell phone, the potential buyers won't even see the tops or bottoms of these three antique black brass candlesticks. Brass, but they're black, that's all. But it's possible. What about other types of items? Bookends. Bookends are hot. Brass bookends, source them, buy them. You're going to find they're not selling for much at all. How much would these horse bookends sell for? Oh, $32. How much? But I mean, how much would they sell for at a garage sale? $3 at most. A pair of matching bookends. Sometimes a bookend you only get one of them, but just like candlesticks, it's better to have two. Oh, and candlesticks, I want to show you. What if the candlesticks don't match? Brass candlesticks, let's see, what word would work? Lot, L-O-T. So let's just look at a lot of candlesticks, and we're going to find candlesticks that don't match. These don't match. They sold for as much as $31.99. These candlesticks don't match. They sold for $25. These candlesticks don't match. They sold for $45. These candlesticks don't match. They sold for $100. Come on, and $13 shipping. This is great. You're going to find candlesticks that don't match. If you find one and you can't find the other, just keep the one on the side for a while until you find 2 or 3 or 4 more and sell a lot of 5. And you're going to sell them off for $35. One box to ship, one payment, one listing, easy peasy. So candlesticks don't have to match. You can have a lot of however many you have, but if you have a pair, it's nice to see that they match. If you have more, it's okay if they don't match. So then go back to our bookends. Again, birds are always good, even ducks, vintage Abraham Lincoln brass, $35. You're going to, pineapples are big. I don't know why pineapples sell. Shells sell. You're going to find sconces that hang on the wall and that hold candles. That's called a sconce, S-C-O-N-C-E. Sconce or sconce, that's a candle holder that hangs on the wall a lot of times. And you're going to find brass sconces, and people just want that sort of thing. They're going to have shells on them, like kind of like these bookend shells here. You're going to find brass sconces. You're going to find all sorts of this brass stuff at sales. They hardly ask anything for it. It's unbelievable how many hundreds of these have you passed. If you go to a lot of sales and you've been reselling for a while, have you passed 100 little brass items that would have brought you from $16 to $49? Yeah, you've passed maybe 100 items like that. So have I until I learned about brass. Just as with the little trinket boxes, I want I want the brass scales to fall from your eyes, and I want you to be on the lookout for little brass items that people can put in their house. They don't have to be shiny, shiny brass. They can have that patina, remember? They can have a few little rubs, a few little color variations. It's not a big deal. People kind of like that. They think it's aged a little bit. You could even say, no, you can't. I started to say you can say antique brass. That's the name of a dark brass color as opposed to, shiny brass. But you shouldn't say antique brass or else you're implying it's an antique item, even though antique brass is literally a term for the color of certain brass items. Probably don't say that. But you can say aged brass, patina, all of that. You're going to start making more money. You're going to start making more sales because you're now going to add to your inventory. If you're an everything seller, you're now going to add things that people are looking for that you never had before. And you're going to start getting sales out of the blue that you never had before because you never had brass items. It's really an amazing world how people just send us money. I want you to be able to send me questions. Ask me anything. You can join my Facebook group. It's free. You can subscribe to this channel. That way you don't miss anything. You'll always be notified if you click subscribe and click the little bell. You know how everyone tells you to do that? This is the first time I've ever mentioned it because I just don't want to hassle you with that. No one listens to it anyway, since every YouTube video on the planet now says, click like and subscribe to my channel by clicking subscribe and then clicking the little bell. I'd appreciate it, but listen, you will benefit from that too because you're going to be notified every time that I do a new video, which is quite often. I was the creator and leader of one of the most advanced eBay groups in the universe for 3.5 years until I started doing this on my own. And even though I started that on my own, but I then had a co-owner person thing. And anyway, I had 1,000 hours worth of video in 3 years. Well, this channel is going to dwarf that. I mean, I've got so many things to teach you. You're going to be blown away by how much content there is to maximize your sales. So you really owe it to yourself to be notified whenever I do a video. It's pretty good stuff, if I do say so myself. And I have a history that shows you should listen to me. I've been on eBay for Business podcast. I've been the guest of that. I've had my own newspaper column. I'll talk to you sometime about my pretty substantial eBay selling and national history around it. So I know what I'm talking about. I truly don't like to brag about the things I'm really good at, but I'm really only good about 2 things. I'm pretty good at writing books. I wrote about 150 books in my lifetime. Real books, for most of them for McGraw-Hill and all of the big publishers. But I've also done eBay since 1999, and I know what I'm doing, and you owe it to yourself to listen. You really do. You're going to learn a lot. But also I want you to ask me questions. Anytime, any question whatsoever. It's called the advanced eBay. It's ultra advanced eBay here, ultra advanced on eBay, but you can ask me beginner questions. That's okay. Don't worry about it. I answer every single question and comment. So don't worry about it. You're not going to bug me. If you think it's been asked before, just ask it again. It's not a big deal. Join the Facebook group. It's free. The Ultra Advanced eBay Guy. That's what it's called. I'm the guy. The Ultra Advanced eBay Guy. Just join the group. It's free if you're on Facebook, and that way you'll get updates whenever we have a new post. And it's easier to ask me questions, really, I think, in the YouTube channel because I'm here more often than on Facebook, and I get notifications immediately about YouTube questions and comments. But whatever floats your boat. Just do whatever. But even if you don't do any of that, be sure and be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for little brass items that you can resell. Easy to ship, not fragile, always profit, selling for almost nothing. You'll find them everywhere now that you know about them.